Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Nothing makes sense. When the son of David was king in Jerusalem, he was known to be very wise, and he said, "Nothing makes sense. Everything is nonsense. I have seen it all. Nothing makes sense. What is there to show for all of our hard work here on the earth? People come and people go, but still the world never changes. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. It hurries right back to where it started from. The wind blows south, the wind blows north. Round and round it blows over and over again. All rivers empty into the sea, but it never spills over. One by one, the rivers return to their source. All of life is far more boring than words could ever say. Our eyes and our ears are never satisfied with what we see and hear. Everything that happens has happened before. Nothing is new, nothing under the sun. Someone might say, "Here is something new," but it happened before. Long before we were born, no one who lived in the past is remembered anymore, and everyone yet to be born will be forgotten too. It is senseless to be wise. I said these things when I lived in Jerusalem as king of Israel. With all my wisdom, I try to understand everything that happens here on earth. And God has made this so hard for us humans to do. I've seen it all, and everything is just as senseless as chasing the wind. If something is crooked, it can't be made straight. If something isn't there, it can be counted. I said to myself, "You're by far the wisest person who has ever lived in Jerusalem. You are eager to learn, and you have learned a lot." Then I decided to find out all I could about wisdom and foolishness. Soon I realized that this too was as senseless as chasing the wind. The more you know, the more you hurt, the more you understand, the more you suffer. Chapter 2. It is senseless to be selfish. I said to myself, "Have fun and enjoy yourself." But this didn't make sense. Laughing and having fun is crazy. What good does it do? I wanted to find out what was best for us during the short time we have on this earth. So I decided to make myself happy with wine and find out what it means to be foolish without really being foolish myself. I did some great things. I built houses and planted vineyards. I had flower gardens and orchard full of fruit trees. And I had pools where I could get waters for the trees. I owned slaves, and their sons and daughters became my slaves. I had more sheep and goats than anyone who had ever lived in Jerusalem. Foreign rulers brought me silver, gold, and precious treasures. Men and women sang for me, and I had made wives who gave me great pleasure. I was the most famous person who ever lived in Jerusalem, and I was very wise. I got whatever I wanted and did whatever made me happy, but most of all, I enjoyed my work. Then I thought about everything I had done, including the hard work, and it was simply chasing the wind. Nothing on earth is worth the trouble. Wisdom comes from God. I asked myself, what can the next king do that I haven't done? Then I decided to compare wisdom with foolishness and stupidity. And I discovered that wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light, just as light is better than darkness. Wisdom is like having two good eyes. Foolishness leaves you in the dark. But wise or foolish, we all end up the same. Finally, I said to myself, being wise got me nowhere. The same thing will happen to me that happens to fools. Nothing makes sense, wise or foolish. We all die and are soon forgotten. This made me hate life. Everything we do is painful. It's just as senseless as chasing the wind. Suddenly I realized that others would someday get everything I had worked for so hard. Then I started hating it all. Who knows if those people will be sensible or stupid? Either way, they will own everything I have earned by hard work and wisdom. It doesn't make sense. I thought about all my hard work and I felt depressed. When we use our wisdom, knowledge, and skill to get what we want, why do we have to leave it to someone who didn't work for it? This is senseless and wrong. What do we really gain from all of our hard work? Our bodies are arch during the day, and work is torture. Then at night, our thoughts are troubled. It just doesn't make sense. The best thing we can do The best thing we can do is to enjoy eating, drinking, and working. I believe these are God's gift to us, and no one enjoying eating and living more than I do. If we please God, He will make us wise, understanding, and happy. But if we sin, God will make us struggle for a living. Then He will give all we own to someone who pleased Him. This makes no more sense than chasing the wind. Everything has its time. Chapter 3. Everything on earth has its own time and its own season. There is a time for birth and death, planting and reaping, for killing and healing, destroying and building, for crying and laughing, weeping and dancing, for throwing stones and gathering stones, embarrassing and parting. There is a time for finding and losing, keeping and giving, for tearing and sowing, listening and speaking. There is also a time for love and hate and war and peace. What God has given us to do, what does we gain by all our hard work? I've seen what difficult things God demands of us. God makes everything happen at the right time. Yet, none of us can ever fully understand all He has done, and He puts questions in our minds about the past and the future. I know the best thing we can do is to always enjoy life because God's gift to us is the happiness we get from our food and drinking and from the work we do. Everything God has done will last forever. Nothing He does can ever be changed. God has done all this so that we will worship Him. Everything that happens has happened before, and all that will be has already been. God does everything over and over again. The future is known only to God. Everywhere on earth, I saw violence and injustice instead of fairness and justice. So I told myself that God has set a time and a place for everything. We'll judge everyone, both the wicked and the good. I know God is testing us to show us that we are merely animals. Like animals, we breathe and die, and we are no better off than they are. It just doesn't make sense. All living creatures go to the same place. We are made from earth, and we return to earth. Who really knows if our spirits go up and the spirits of animals go down into the earth? We are meant to enjoy our work, and that's the best thing we can do. We can never know the future. Chapter 4. I looked again and saw people being mistreated everywhere on earth. They are crying, but no one was there to offer comfort, and those who mistreated them were powerful. I said to myself, the dead are better off than the living, but those who have never been born, and are better off than anyone else, because they have never seen the terrible things that happen on the earth. Then I realized that we work and do wonderful things just because we are jealous of others. This makes no more sense than chasing the wind. Fools will fold their hands and starve to death. Yet a very little food eaten in peace is better than twice as much earned from overwork and chasing the wind. Once again, I saw that nothing on earth makes sense. For example, some people don't have friends or family, but they are never satisfied with what they own, and they never stop working to get more. They should ask themselves, why am I always working to have more? Who will get what I leave behind? What a senseless and miserable life. It is better to have a friend. You're better having a friend than to be all alone, because then you will get more enjoyment out of what you earn. If you fall, your friend can help you up. But if you fall without having a friend nearby, you're really in trouble. If you sleep alone, you won't have anyone to keep you warm on a cold night. Someone might be able to beat up one of you, but not both of you. As the saying goes, a rope made from three strands of cord is hard to break. You may be poor and young, But if you are wise, you are better off than a foolish old king who ought to listen to advice. Even if you were not born into the royal family and have been a prisoner or poor, you can still be king. I once saw everyone in the world to follow a young leader who came to power after the king was gone. His followers could not even be counted. But years from now, no one will praise him. This makes no more sense than chasing the wind. Chapter 5. Be careful how to worship. How you worship. Be careful what you do when you enter the house of God. Fools go there to offer sacrifices because all they do is sin. But it's best just to listen when you go to worship. Don't talk before you think or make promise to God without thinking them through. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so don't talk too much. If you keep thinking about something, you will dream about it. If you talk too much, you will say the wrong thing. God doesn't like fools, so don't be slow to keep your promises to God. It's better not to make a promise at all than to make one and not keep it. Don't let your mouth get you in trouble, and don't say to the worship leader, I didn't mean what I said. God can destroy everything you have worked for, so don't say something that makes God angry. Respect and obey God. Daydreaming leads to a lot of senseless talk. Don't be surprised if the poor of our country are abused and injustice take the place of justice. After all, the lower officers must do what the higher one ordered them to do. And since the king is the highest officer, he benefits most from the taxes paid on the land. If you love money and wealth, you will never be satisfied with what you have. This doesn't make a bit of sense. The more you have, the more everyone expects from you. Your money won't do you any good. Others will just spend it for you. If you have to work hard for a living, you can rest well at night, even if you don't have much to eat. But if you are rich, you can't even sleep. I've seen something terribly unfair. People get rich, but it does them no good. Suddenly they lose everything in a bad business deal. They'll have nothing to leave for their children. They came into this world naked, and when they die, they will be just as naked. They can't take anything with them, and they won't have anything to show for all their work. That's terribly unfair. They leave the world just as they came. They gained nothing for ruining, nothing for running after the wind. Beside all this, they are always gloomy and mere time, and they are troubled, sick, and bitter. What is the best thing to do in the short life God has given us? I think we should enjoy eating, drinking, and working hard. This is what God intends for us to do. Suppose you are very rich and able to enjoy everything you own. Then go ahead and enjoy working hard. This is God's gift to you. God will keep you so happy that you won't have time to worry about each day. Chapter 6. Don't depend on wealth. There is something else terribly unfair, and it troubles everyone on earth. God may give you everything you want, money, property, and wealth. Then God doesn't let you enjoy it, and someone you don't even know gets it all. That's senseless and terribly unfair. You may live a long time and have 100 children, but a child born dead is better off than you, unless you enjoy life and have a decent burial. Uh, the child will never live to see the sun or to have a name, and it will go straight to the world of darkness. But it will still find more rest than you, even if you live 2,000 years and don't enjoy life. As you know, we all end up in the same place. We struggle just to have enough to eat, but we are never satisfied. We may be sensible, yet we are no better off than a fool. And if we are poor, it still doesn't do us any good to try to live right. It's better to enjoy what we have than to always want something else, because that makes no more sense than chasing the wind. Everything that happens was decided long ago. We humans know what we are like. We can't argue with God because He's too strong for us. The more we talk, the less sense we make. So what God does it do to talk? Life is short and meaningless. It fades away like a shadow. Who knows what is best for us? Who knows what will happen after we are gone? Amen.